Alright guys, welcome back to the channel today, and I am feeling significantly better today. I'm feeling chipper, I'm ready to go with Uncle from Another World today. I'm in a good mood, and this episode only intensified that even farther. And let me just say, freaking Uncle, man. Wow, did he get treated so bad. Like, it's crazy. He's worth 2 digits less than a scouring pad. Like, come on, man. Like, come on. How bad can someone be treated, man? That's total trash. And the shopkeeper's like, yo, I'll give you a 120 for it. Uncle, this guy, this thing over here, I'll give you 3. Give you 3 coins. Like, what the... Okay, sure. But without further ado, let's get into it and talk about Uncle from Another World, episode 6 today. So we had a pretty interesting episode today because this is our first time that we've had an episode that's a direct continuation to a previous one. And it explains a lot. This episode explains a lot, actually. So it begins with Uncle kind of reminiscing about, wow, I'm really worthless, huh? With the little scouring pad situation. We get a little interesting tidbit, actually, that Uncle's mind wipe ability is not, like, completely perfect. And that you can have certain situations and certain scenes kind of trigger these memories again. And in their case, for Takafumi and Uncle, it's their nose bleeding. That signifies that the memory that they've tried to erase is coming back. And just, I can only imagine what's in Uncle's notebook that would cause Takafumi to go into utter despair like that. I can only imagine. So it's here we find out what happens to Uncle, actually, after he gets sold for such a pathetic amount. And that shopkeeper actually ends up throwing him inside of a freak show filled with a bunch of eclectic monsters from around the continent. And Uncle ain't taking it too good, to be honest. He tells Takafumi and Fujimiya that, I'm going to skip ahead a week. And they're like, why? Why's that? Because the shopkeeper completely forgot about me. He forgot I was down here and neglected the shit out of me. And just, oh man. So Uncle being down there has been completely left alone. He even says himself, like, if it wasn't for the puddle of rainwater that came in through the little crack in the ceiling, I probably would have died already. And he's taking it in stride, but he's gone pretty freaking crazy. Talking to himself, ranting about video games. And Uncle turns to Takafumi and Fujimiya and says, I knew what was happening, of course. I had to keep myself sane somehow. So I was talking to this beam of light that's in the room. I knew exactly what I was doing. And they're like, yeah, sure. Sure you did, Uncle. Sure you did. And he's talking to this beam of light, trying to keep himself sane. And all of a sudden, actually, he hears the beam of light talking to him. And of course, we're supposed to believe, oh, this is just crazy rambling. He's gone mad in this situation. But no, he hears that it's the voice of a spirit. And it's here that the ray of light reveals itself to be the spirit of light Killigad. And Uncle actually reaches out and grabs the ray of light and breaks it off. And he now has a light sword. And Takafumi and Fujimi are stunned, like, wait, what? What's going on here? That's actually a spirit? And they finally piece it together, like, wait a minute. Uncle got the power of translation in the last episode. So because of that, he's able to talk to spirits, which apparently no one else in this world can do. And Uncle even says it himself, like, I always thought my ability to use magic was a little different than other people. And that makes a lot of sense, actually, why Uncle's so strong, that he's able to communicate with these spirits. And I suppose kind of get their blessing and use their power. So with that power, he breaks out of the jail cell. It's kind of cool, actually. He's got like a lightsaber base. Literally a lightsaber. And he breaks out the jail cell. But along the way, he feels a little bad. So he frees all the creatures in there. Thinking to himself, like, I did a good deed today. I saved all these little creatures. I did a great deed. And as he's leaving, one actually hops on his shoulder. You know, and it's adorable. It's an adorable little rabbit. And Takafumi and Fujimi are like, that's so adorable. That's cute. Does he become your companion on the journey? And it turns out that no. All these cute, cuddly, adorable creatures are actually super ferocious, vicious monsters. One even nips his carotid artery. He's lucky he didn't die right then and there from that. And that'd be terrifying, man. Seeing these cute, cuddly animals all of a sudden turn into, oh, we're gonna fucking kill you. And Uncle is quickly overwhelmed, actually. He is on the brink of death. Even the shopkeeper's saying, oh my god, why are all these vicious creatures from all over the continent? They're free, we're in trouble. And I'm thinking to myself the whole time watching it, like, why would you even collect them? Why would you bring them in one place if they're so vicious? But they are in trouble. And it's here that Uncle gets, I guess you could say, a little bit of motivation. Now, I know, guys, I'm a bit of a fraud. I don't know the game that gets referenced in this scene. I'm sorry, I know, crazy. But he sees the game, and Uncle starts asking himself, like, am I gonna live as a normal person? Or am I gonna rise up to the challenge? And in this instance, he gets a second wind. He starts using the power of the spirits. And he just starts annihilating all of these creatures. And Uncle actually saves the shopkeeper in this instance. And he's like, thank you so much. One look at Uncle's face, though, terrifies him. And to be fair, in this instance, Uncle looks pretty freaking crazy. Even I would be a little shaken. I was like, yo, this guy's unhinged. We'll get back to more unhingedness later in the episode. But he sends the shopkeeper flying away, and he fights the rest of the creatures all throughout the night, eventually killing them all, and he actually eats all of them. Which, to be fair, hey man, you're starving in another world. You killed all these creatures. Hey, it's kill or be killed. You gotta eat. And he ends up sustaining himself with these creatures. And Takafumi and Fujimi are exasperated. Like, we expect nothing less from you, Uncle. And Uncle looks at him and he says, you know, my life in this other world was hellish, but I had a pretty damn good start. And they're just like, how? How did you have a good start in any way, shape, or form? I'm like, oh. And it's here that Fujimiya reluctantly wants to leave, because he's like, you know, it's fried chicken night, guys. Like, I gotta go eat. Fried chicken is the bomb, which it is the bomb. I love fried chicken myself. And she prepares to leave, and Uncle's like, don't worry, we can start this another day. Nothing really important happens after this. You know, I just saved Elf from a dragon. You know, it's no big deal. It's only our first meeting ever that sets the whole series into motion for me and this character, but no big deal, right? And Fujimiya just looks at him like, you son of a bitch. Play it. Let's go. This better be worth me missing my chicken. Let's go. Let's see it. And we transition to Elf and Uncle's very first meeting. And it's here that we see the fight with the dragon coming to a spectacular conclusion. And Fujimiya's like, oh, I'm really excited for this. I want to see how this goes. This better be worth me missing my fried chicken. And Uncle just comes in and one-shots the dragon. Of course he does. Of course he does. What'd you expect? Did you expect him not to one-punch it? Technically fly through it with a sword, but you know what I mean. And he's like, ta-da, I beat it. Fujimiya's like, my chicken. Not my chicken. I missed it for this. But it's here that he goes and confronts Elf to see how she's doing. Because, honestly, she probably would have beaten the dragon herself. Uncle was only able to take it down so easily because she did a good amount of damage to the dragon already herself. Showcasing that she is actually pretty strong. Like, personality aside, she's very capable. And she's, of course, on guard when Uncle approaches, because her clothes are all torn up. She's in a pretty bad state, to be honest. And she's very on guard around Uncle. But Uncle, you know, he does something chivalrous in this instance. He shows he's a pretty decent guy. Takes his jacket off and puts it around her so she's not standing there naked. And, you know, she reluctantly has to end up thanking him in this instance. But Coming back to our unhinged situation, she sees his face and instantly goes like, "You're so ugly. I can't stand your ugliness. Your ugliness is repulsive. It's a fucking affront to the world." And she takes out a knife and starts going a little crazy, literally becoming unhinged. But she quickly regains her senses, realizing, he's the ugliest thing I've ever seen, but he did save my life. I shouldn't try to murder him right away. So she ends up putting the knife back in the warp portal. And Uncle, being a total moron, of course, is like, "Oh, you stabbed yourself. What are you doing? Here, let me check the wound. Let me check the wound." And of course starts lifting up the shirt, trying to see. "I don't see the cut anywhere. Like, what happened? Are you okay? Are you gonna die?" And she is flipping out. To be fair, I'd probably be flipping out too in that situation. And Uncle's like, "No, where's the wound? You gotta show me. You gotta show me. It's somewhere, right?" And it's here. Uncle's like, "I don't see a wound, but oh, wait a minute. Ooh, your skin's actually kind of smooth. Ooh." And in this moment, she vows, "I'm never gonna forgive you for this. You filthy, ugly pig, you orc." All these things, starts berating him, and Uncle's getting kind of mad. Like, "Oh, okay, I'll give you my jacket. I save your life, and you say that to me?" And she says, "I'm never gonna forget your face the rest of my life." And that's the end of their first meeting. And it went exactly how you thought it would go. And Uncle's like, "Yeah, I could have talked back in that situation, but that only would have made things worse." And you know how Takafumi Fujimi are. Do I have to explain it to you? You know the looks on their faces. And Uncle's like, "Yeah, this is such a bad situation. Just as bad as me getting frozen in ice that one time." And Fujimiya says, "Oh yeah, that's right. What happened with that afterwards of that?" So we actually go forward to the ice situation. Now, I gotta keep it a buck with you guys. Uncle is one of the most unlucky people I've ever seen. But I don't know if that applies to this situation. As a guy, I gotta be completely honest. This is a wild situation, to say the least, because he was frozen solid completely. So naturally, they had to thaw him out. So what do? Of course, just throw him in bed and just sleep on top of him. Of course! Simple shit. Why would that not be the solution, right? Oh, it's only natural. And Uncle wakes up like, "What the hell is going on here? Wait a minute." Just the look on Elf's face when she wakes up and notices Uncle's awake is actually priceless. I think I laughed the most in this episode seeing her face in that instance. It was priceless. And she gives the absolute worst excuse I think I've ever heard. Like, it was kind of cold, so some tribes in the north actually use their praise organs to stay warm, so I was just trying to stay warm in this chilly night. It was nothing else. Don't think I did anything else. No, not at all. and Kafumi and Fujimi are like, "There's no way anyone would fall for that." But of course Uncle's like, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Of course. And Elf actually is like, I'm still kind of cold. Maybe we can stay in a bit. And Uncle's like, "Yeah, it is cold this morning. Why don't we sleep in a little bit?" And Elf's like, "Oh, I actually like that idea." But then Mabel moves in and takes the spot. And Elf is just like, "Yo, you want to move? That's my spot. That's my spot." But then we get really serious all of a sudden. We realize that Mabel has some lingering regrets in her life, dealing with her mother when she starts crying out to her mother in this instance. And it's a little sad. We're listening to it like, wow, she must have a troubled past with her parents. Until it's revealed that her mother's just a fucking bum like her. She's like, "Mom, you told me I didn't have to work. I know you ran off with this young guy when I was young, but you told me I'd never have to work a day in my life as long as I had the freezing sword. Well, I don't want to work." And even Uncle in this situation is exasperated, like... And of course, Elf's got to wake her up, got to snap her out of it. Like, I can't listen to you talk about wanting to be a bum. And Uncle in this situation says, if you're really struggling for money that much, just sell the ring already. Just sell the ring and you're going to be completely fine. But it turns out Mabel, there's a little more attached to it than she wants to let on. She's like, this is quite valuable, but I think I'll use this as a last resort. I'll sell this if I absolutely have to. And we even get a really funny scene where she begs Elf to be her master like a dog, bro. It's like, what? Have some shame. Come on. Have some shame. But it's here, actually, that they all go out to breakfast with each other. And it's here at breakfast that Elf and Mabel formally introduce themselves to each other. And we get an interesting little bit of tidbit, actually, from Elf. That she doesn't say her name. She says, no, you can just call me Elf. Elf will do. I'm the only one of my kind that's left my kingdom's borders, after all. Which really showcases that Elf has kind of a troubled past herself. And her job is to go around the world collecting all these ancient relics. For what reason, we don't know yet. But I assume it's going to be the real crux of our show. Really showcasing that she's got some baggage herself. And since everyone's doing introductions, of course, Uncle decides that, I'm Wolf Gunblood. Nice to meet you, ladies. Obviously lying through his teeth. Takafumi's like, why are you lying? Uncle's like, I can't give strangers my actual name. Are you serious? Oh. Takafumi's like, you've known Elf for 3 years at this point, but whatever. Just Uncle being Uncle. I don't even know Uncle's name, to be honest, in this show. Uncle's just Uncle to me. Just like Elf is Elf, I don't even remember his real name. And it's here they start talking about what exactly they're going to do. Now, Mabel wants to be an adventurer. She's determined that she wants to be an adventurer, so that's what she wants to do. Elf says, I'm going to go back to Koza. And Uncle's like, wait a minute, isn't that the city you ended up selling your ring in? And she's like, no, it's not. Don't worry about what I'm doing. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And Takafumi and Fujimiya know exactly what she's doing. She's like, oh, she's buying that damn ring back. She's buying it back. She feels threatened by Mabel being here. She wants a ring too. And it's here that Elf actually drops something interesting. Because Uncle says, I've heard that there's a dungeon that a hero is visiting right now. So I want to go scout that out. And it's here that Elf says it's actually a legendary hero. A title that was vacant until 50 years ago, until she took the title. And she apparently slayed a horde of Legion-class beasts, giving her the title of Shining Crusader. She is probably the beacon of this world in terms of strength. And Uncle's going to a dungeon to go meet her. So that's quite interesting, actually. Now, to me, I can only assume that this Shining Crusader is our third girl that we see in the opening. I can only assume that it's her. So, I'm sure we'll meet her very soon. But Mabel decides, I want to go with you, Wolf. Wolf Gunblood, I want to go with you. I can't. I'm a night owl. I'm going to go to sleep at 2 p.m. So we're going to have to go around like 8 or 9. Like, what the hell? And that's how they go their separate ways, actually. And decide to do what they're going to do. And Takafumi and Fujimiya they've had enough. They're like, all right, we're done. We're done right now. We're done. Let's go get some food. So they all actually go out and get some ramen together. And that is how our episode ends. Liz, what an episode. I'm very glad that the show's back from its hiatus we've had for a while. And I'm happy that I'm feeling better today because this is a great episode. It put me in a better mood. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. So tell me down below, what do you think? What do you think about this Shining Crusader, actually? How important of a character do you think this is going to be? Do you think it's the third girl that we see in the opening? Or maybe it's someone in her party? Who knows? I'm sure we'll find that out soon. But that'll be it for today's episode, you guys. Uncle for Another World continues to slap each week, continues to be a blast, and I love it. So until next time, guys, hope you have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and pray to yourself you get a situation like Uncle was in this episode. I'll see you guys next time.